Hi, and welcome to an overview of N Central. Today, we're going to sit down with head nerd Jason Murphy. He's been in the industry for a really long time, and he's going to show you the power of N Central, how flexible it is, how easy it is to use, and how secure it can help keep you and your users.
Deployment in Central is made really easy. What we're going to do here is click into Download Agent and Probe software. As you can see, there are two types of agents in Central. There's the Windows agent and the Windows probe. Now, there's also a Windows system agent and a Windows system probe. The customer site or specific agent or probe will be easily installed into the Windows operating system. When we install it, we just double click, go through the UI of the installer, and it installs like any other installer. However, with the system agent, that is primarily used for a command line install, using some PowerShell, for example. Now, additionally, what we can do here is with the Windows probe is install that into typically an always-on device like a Windows server. And then what we're going to do is once that's installed, we're going to come into N-Central and run a discovery. N-Central is different than other RMMs when it comes to deployment because from here, what we're able to do is select our customer. We're able to then command that probe to look through a particular subnet to 254. And then from here, what we're going to do is choose our particular probe and then walk through the rest of the wizard. We're going to schedule that out as a recurring job because if there's any other devices that come on the network, we want to be able to pick those up and automatically deploy the agent into them. The Active Issues view provides a quick look into the most critical problems across your endpoints. Let's drill in for more detail. For example, I'm going to click into this particular workstation, disk C, and then I can hover and see that the disk is sitting at 100%. We've auto-generated a ticket because of that. Now, what we're going to be able to do is open this filter over to the right-hand side. I could even drill down into a particular customer or a set of devices. I can come down, choose my particular customer here. I'm going to choose my Enable SO. And then from there, what I can do is now configure the monitoring into a particular view that is most important to myself. For example, if it's my job to look after patch management, I'm going to deselect everything and select patch status V2. When I apply that filter, I'll get a view that only focuses on the patch status related problems within my environment. Now let's take a look at the assets view. This is the modern view for N-Central, whereby we can see all of our devices, all of our assets. We can come in here and we have some real-time dashboards. If I want to filter into an older operating system and get an idea of what I need to patch, I can come and do that. I can then re-click, reset that view. I can come down and even filter. So if I want to kind of look at the filter, choose a particular operating system build, I can click on that, filter on all of those, and then run some patching. Of course, I can reset that filter, and I'll just select all, apply, and then to the right, if I wanted to even hop into this particular device, I'm presented with some action options where I can come in and see very quickly where I can remote into the device or even reboot now. This will save you time and allow your team to do things much, much more efficiently. All right, now I'm going to click into a device view. Here's my Windows 365 device. I'm going to click in. I'm presented with an overview. From here, I have the active issues, any problems that are kind of raised to the front. I can see any tickets that might be open. I can even open tickets from this view. We have a bi-directional connection with many, many PSA and IT service management solutions. In real time, I am pulling things like CPU, memory. I can see some system information. I can go down patches and see what patches are installed and not installed. I can see any running processes. And again, I can see if there's anything like services that need to be restarted, which I can then go to the toolbox, click into those services. And if I need to, I could come into a particular service and change the startup type, start that service or even restart it. From here, I can click into processes and do the exact same thing. I can click into a particular service and maybe end that particular service. I can see what applications are installed. And again, from here, I can even silently uninstall one. I can see what startup applications are running on this particular device and even turn one off. And from here, I can see what printers are installed. So I can go here. I'll just go into local system, whereby if I want to make the Microsoft print to PDF the default, I can do so. Command prompt in real time and start that up. I can even go into PowerShell mode directly from this view. From here, I can also click into the file system, open up C, go into temp. And if I want to retrieve a file, I can retrieve that file, pull it directly to my workstation, or even send a file directly to that particular endpoint. From here, what I can do is now run automation. Obviously, with not wanting to interrupt the end user in terms of troubleshooting, I can actually go into my repository of automation here. And from here, what I can do is click in and, fill out any variables and then click run. We have several types of remote control built directly into N-central. For example, on this particular server, I have Take Control. I also have Remote Desktop. I can SSH into a network device or even Telnet. And if I have a network device that has a web interface, maybe like a printer, a switch, a firewall, a router, I'm going to be able to pull that up using the web interface as well. Now, in this example, I'm going to pull up Take Control, which is our proprietary remote control tool that is built directly into the N-central platform. I'm going to pull that up, and I have a whole host of options. Again, I can start working with the end user one-on-one. I can go into the shell. I can do file transfers. I can hop into system info and get some background information on the device. I want to hop into services and see exactly what's going on in the services. I can do that. I can hop into remote registry. I can see exactly what I'm looking to do and make any changes from a back-end perspective directly through remote control. Let's get into filters. Filters are one of the most powerful areas of N-central. If I click into filters, what I'm presented with is a menu of predefined filters out of the box. But the good news is I can take all of the metadata from all of my assets and really build the filter I need exactly for my use case. So I can come in here and do something like OS. I can come into PowerShell. I can come in and it does contains, and I'll do 5. And if I preview that, I will find all of my devices, which is pretty much every Windows device, that has PowerShell version 5. I can also do PowerShell version 7. And I can preview that. You'll see the delta on those devices. The important part here is that I can really customize filters to really change what I'm looking at. The good news is once I start talking about things like custom properties, you can incorporate custom properties into filters from either an organizational level, like a tenancy level, or from also a device perspective. Let's check out N-central patch management. Now, this is one of the defining reasons why any IT professional or managed service provider chooses N-central. You effectively create a patch configuration. I can go through and fill all this out. Do I want pop-ups? Who gets access? Do I want to use a probe as a cache mechanism? And then what I effectively do is I start walking through the next 4 steps. And this is just like what Windows Update does. It detects, it downloads, it installs, it reboots. And then what we do is we set it and forget it, and we save it into a rule. I'll get into rules a little bit later, but rules are one of the defining reasons why N-central is as amazing as it is. Once we save it into a rule, we have this configuration. We can tweak that configuration. We can do things like insert custom properties into filters and make things much more flexible. It is where we can come into things like approvals, and we can match that approval based on your criteria of your service delivery. We can come in here and turn on any third-party patching. Now I'm going to come down here and turn on Windows. Let's go to Microsoft, open that up, and I can turn on any Microsoft, kind of what we call third-party products, but also turn on, for example, Windows patching. I can come down and select those the way I want in terms of critical, definition updates. I can go to security, and again, updates, upgrades, and I can create these approval rules any which way I want. Because what is unique about N-central is that N-central is based and governed by this rule mechanism. N-central at its core is a monitoring platform, but this is where we expose all of the monitoring. The good thing about N-central is that you can bring your own. For example, if you can write a PowerShell script, you can effectively query anything you want and turn that into monitoring. Now, these are some, I would say, advanced concepts, but the good news here is we have a lot of predefined options out of the box here for you. I can click add my own services, my own service templates, my own bundles. A service template is really just a bundle of monitoring in terms of how you're going to template a workstation, a laptop, a server, a VMware, an iDRAC, an ILO, a firewall, a switch, anything you want. You can template all of that every time you onboard a device. So, and we can get into programs and program offerings another time, but the good news is once you can start carving this up, your service delivery becomes much more granular, the way you want it to be. Now, I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom here and hop into Windows workstations. You can see this is a modest template around what, CPU, disk, memory, the smart status, what have you. And I can really customize this. I can add in more. Using automation in N-central is also made easy. I can come into the actions menu. I can click into run automation policy or run script. From here, what I can do is select something like device maintenance. I can now choose what particular drive. If I have a customer with a D drive or a Z drive or Z drive, I can come in here and choose that. From here, what I can do is now select my target. From here, I can choose a filter, say a group of devices or a predefined group of devices, or I can simply come down and choose my one server. I can schedule that now, later today, or even make it recurring, and provide myself any notifications or tickets that I want to then map over to my PSA or ITSM solution. And now I give it a name. Equally, I can come into the device view, and from here, I can go into that toolbox. And from here, I can come in and go to task execution, which is just another name for automation. And I can do the exact same thing. From here, I can choose my device maintenance. And from here, I can select that property or choose C and then run. Automation in N-central is made easy. This is Automation Manager. This is our no code or low code automation builder. I'm going to build a little test policy here for you. So I'm going to go into conditionals. I'm going to come into folder exists. I'm going to check to see if C:\temp is there. From there, what I'm going to do is then use control flow. From here, I can say if. So if that folder exists, what do I want to do? So if that equals true, well, what I can do now is come in and maybe delete a file or move a file or even delete the folder. So if I want to come in to delete, from here, what I can do is now come in and delete that folder or subfolders or what have you. All I have to really do is provide it the path. In N-central, we expose the underlying orchestration and automation via something called rules. You may have even heard something called an infinity core engine. That is exactly what rules are. We take all of the underlying functionality within N-central where we can start doing things and templating things so that your business is scalable and efficient. I can come into a particular filter, add that in. I can turn this functionality on for customers or a particular customer. I can propagate if it's an onboarding rule. So every time I onboard a new customer, they're going to get my routine. I can start turning on the automation. For example, every time I onboard a customer, I want them to get the Adlumin agent. From here, I can turn on any notifications or service templates. Say I want to make sure that every workstation gets a particular monitor, and equally making sure that they get a notification if something goes wrong. From here, I can now start turning on the functionality. Within N Central, for example, I can turn on Sentinel-1. I can turn on the patch management, security manager, or backup manager via Cove data protection. Rules are the core to how N Central works. One of the most compelling areas within N Central is being able to report and use analytics. What is analytics in N Central? Analytics is Power BI. We've actually baked Power BI directly into the N Central platform. I can come into here and now under dashboards, click into my patch compliance where I actually have a patch dashboard. I'm filtering on my lab. And what I'm going to do here is now come into something like criticals, and then I can click in and drill in and highlight that. Or if I want to see what is actually behind this data, I can go into the drill through, into the patch details, and see what devices have the critical updates installed and what does not. Obviously, you can see that I have no approval here. As well, what I can do is I can click into things like reports. And when it comes to your data, some things are better left for dashboards and other things for reports. For example, if I want to come in and do my software inventory, I can click in there, generate my report into a CSV. And now what I have is a report that I can use to kind of see what applications are installed based on my devices and what versions they adhere to.
Thanks for watching N Central Overview. If you want to learn more, click the link to start a trial or give us a call.